The Black Dahlia murder remains unsolved after over 78 years. Elizabeth Short, 22, was found murdered on January 15, 1947 in a horrific manner. Her body was cut in half, completely naked, with clean cuts suggesting medical knowledge. She had gone missing on January 9th, and authorities struggled to identify her until her fingerprints were matched. Investigators questioned many people, including the last person she was seen with and her co-workers in the Hollywood business. However, everyone was cleared of any wrongdoing. The crime involved bizarre details like missing organs, cuts on her body, and a maniacal grin carved into her face. The killer even sent her personal effects, including a contact book with Mark Hansen's name on it, hinting at a connection. Hansen, who owned the Biltmore Hotel where Short was last seen, became a key figure in the case. It was theorized that his bellhop, Leslie Dillon, might be involved in the murder. Dillon had a split personality and previously worked as a medical examiner's assistant, making him knowledgeable about anatomy and ways with a scalpel. Dillon had a history of trouble and may have been manipulated by Hansen to murder Short after she rejected his sexual advances and refused to pay for her stay. However, Dillon was never charged. The case turned cold, with theories ranging from a vengeful actor to a random act of violence. Over time, Leslie Dillon became a prime suspect, especially given the clean cuts on Short's body that suggested a medical background. Another theory suggests Dr. George Hodel, a former LA doctor, was the killer based on circumstantial evidence, including photos found in his home and the soil contents having decomposed human remains around his house. Despite these theories, no conclusive evidence has ever surfaced. The investigation failed to solve the case, leaving Elizabeth Short's family without closure. The media, which dubbed her the Black Dahlia, contributed to the case's notoriety, but the true identity of her killer. In two of my sources, I noticed that they showed how local newspapers used the bias technique, names and titles. Both authors stated that in the newspaper she was nicknamed the Black Dahlia because of her black clothing and hair. Naming the case brought attention to it nationwide. The name the Black Dahlia can make readers think of her as out of place because of the clothing she wore. It also brought attention to where she was killed on Black Dahlia Avenue. This brought tourist attention to the area of Los Angeles. Another bias technique I noticed was word choices and tone. In a section of an article, the author wrote about a botched attempt to force a confession to a grand jury investigation. Using the word botched shows the police were desperate to close the case. It also brings bad publicity to the police and the doctor who interviewed the man arrested. This can make the reader imply that the police were not very good and they were willing to make the profile work on somebody instead of using the profile to find the killer. And final thoughts based on many theories, reports of the police. I believe Leslie Dillon killed Elizabeth Short accompanied by Mark Hansen. Dillon was a bellhop at the Biltmore Hotel, meaning he directly talked with Hansen every day. Hansen was trying another one of his sexual advances when she denied him. He got angry and hit her on the head. He had Dillon kill her at a separate place and used his past medical technique to torture her and then kill her. They sent the letter to bring attention to the hotel by saying that they were generous and gave Short a room to stay. Hansen used Dillon's split personality to make it easier to forget the crime ever happened because one personality can be dominant for a long period of time. The autopsy showed that the cuts on Short's body and the bisection were clean cuts. This means someone had medical practice, making Dillon the perfect killer.